Good morning and welcome to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter, the show that takes a look at the events and what's happening all around Putnam County, as well as interviews with local, community, and business leaders. And now, sharing his insights and experience, here's Today in Putnam County with County Mayor Randy Porter.
Thanks, Philip Gibbons. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this week. Hope you're having a great weekend. Our show this week, it's about Baxter City and a new downtown revitalization project that's coming about. I'm pleased to have as my guest this morning local realtor Lindsey Bruce and owner of the Monarch in Baxter. Great location there, great event center, Kellie Fitzpatrick. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for being with me and talking about this new revitalization, I guess I'd say, of Baxter. You know, I go back, and y'all probably do too, to a time we didn't know if Baxter was going to make it or not inside Baxter City, and little towns were having a problem. But Baxter is just booming anymore. And Mayor Martin, every time I talk to him, he's got a new project that he's talking about, new homes and everything. And Kellie, I'm going to start with you because I really think a lot of this started with you. And when you bought the old W.T. Sewell building and created that into the Monarch and the event center, how did that come about? I mean, to want to buy something like that and change that. Tell me about that.
So I'm a lifetime resident of Baxter, and I actually have a couple of other properties on Broad Street, and our office for my other business was located there. We bought that building, renovated it. It was a small engine repair shop. So I was already spending a lot of time in the downtown area and would just look across the street and see that WT Sewell building standing there. There was a tree growing out of the back of it. It was empty, but it was so beautiful. And I can remember, I had childhood memories of going in there with my mom for supplies for the Little League concession stand. Yes. So I knew that it was coming up for auction. The city owned it at the time, and so we acquired it through auction and then really just kind of sat on it for a couple of years before we started doing demo, and then an event space felt like something that I could manage while still operating that other business full time. So that's what we opted to do. It was a really fun project. It was a lot of work getting that building. I always say 1920s codes are very different than 2020s codes, which was when we completed that project. But around that time also, Lindsey acquired Baxter Flowers and also said, hey, I think I'm going to buy this little house beside the Monarch. Could be a great Airbnb for all of your out-of-town wedding guests. So really the two of us together were looking ahead to the future of what was happening in Baxter. So
and the Monarch it's a beautiful place. You've done an amazing job renovating that building and making it into what it is. You stay booked most of the time, right?
We are. Yeah, it's mostly weekends. There's not a lot happening, if anything, really through the week, but weekends are very busy.
It's a great wedding venue. We've been to some weddings there and meetings. We have our chamber meetings down there every year, and it's a great place. If you hadn't been there, you might want to try it. It's called the Monarch. So, Lindsey, you bought a building in Baxter, so you weren't born and raised in Baxter, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you were? Okay. So, both of you Baxter girls, and you wanted to see Baxter not go down, but to bring it back, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about how this came about. You wanted to buy this house then beside of Kellie over there, and how's that worked out?
It's working out great. So I actually knew the man that owned it before, and I knew Kellie was working on the Monarch. I don't even know if she had began renovations yet, or maybe it just started. And I kept saying, if you ever want to sell that house, let me know. And, he didn't live there. And he told me no for a while. And then eventually he was like, well, if you want to buy it, okay. And so we turned that into, my mom and I bought that and turned that into an Airbnb. And so obviously that stays busy because Kellie stays busy. Yeah, so that's been nice. And then through real estate, got the opportunity to, she wanted me to come and take a look at the flower shop to sell it. She was ready to retire. And then whenever I went in to talk to her about it, she talked about how long that flower shop had been there. She couldn't imagine it being anything else, but knew whoever purchased it could do whatever they wanted to with it. And then, of course, I'm like, well, I would really like to see the Baxter downtown area be something specific. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm buying a flower shop. And we're
realtor to flower
That's
shop.
right. And so we've maintained it as a flower shop and then expanded quite a bit, again, just with the end goal of creating a little shopping district right there on Broad Street. So added in some gifts and clothes clothing and some other things too. But then, I mean, Kellie and I have talked about revitalizing Baxter for years, I would say. It's always just kind of been a timing thing. It's
a dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been the time involved and kind of heading that up and getting that started, and never really felt right. And we just kind of kept pushing. And she said, if you'll do it, I'll do it. And so here we are.
We're talking with Lindsey Bruce and Kellie Fitzpatrick, looking at a revitalization project going on in Baxter City, which is going to be great. So, Lindsey, how did it come about when you started the Tennessee Downtown program and everything? Did you reach out to someone or someone help you with that to get that started?
Yeah, so Kellie and I kind of joined forces in the beginning, and we early on met with Melinda Kiefer, who helped start up Cityscape in Cookeville.
Yeah.
Yes, and she was very helpful in just kind of letting us know what we needed to get started, long-term vision, what partners we should ask, what types of people that, would be most beneficial to kind of getting that rock up the hill. So we met with her early on, and then we, based on her recommendations, started reaching out to form our committee. And so that's kind of how it started.
She is a wealth of information. Of course, Melinda worked for the city for years after that. But, when Cityscape, Cookeville was in the same situation as Baxter is, and most of your other places, small towns. I mean, downtown around the courthouse, businesses were going out. This was back in the late 80s, early 90s. The west side businesses were going out. The buildings were sitting empty. They started Cityscape. And the Square first, when they put all the utilities underground and did the brick pavers and all, I mean, it made a huge difference.
Right.
And all of a sudden, your downtown square becomes revitalized, and you got all these people wanting to be in those buildings around it. And, of course, the west side happened, but Melinda was the leader in that. I remember that very well, and she's a wealth of information in all that goes on with her involvement at the state with economic development. She's got all those contacts, so she helps you get going.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about what are your vision? What's your vision for this? What do you want to see happen? Is there certain elements that you want to see changed in Baxter if things happen?
I think Lindsey and I both really want to preserve the historic integrity of the downtown and create a location that citizens of Baxter and visitors can come and walk down the street and do a little shopping, get something to eat, visit these businesses that are down there. There aren't too many reasons right now for people to come to that area.
Right.
And we have a lot of things happening outside of Baxter, growth happening on the outside portions of Baxter, which is great. But having that community element, that centralized location that has that historic downtown, small town charm is really what we want to preserve. And we don't want to see, it turned into something more commercial or lose that appeal there. So that's really what we want to do, is just take the bones of what's there and then take advantage of the resources, the grants, the programs that are available to improve that area and take what's there and make it better. So whether that's with, street lamps or better sidewalks, landscaping, all of those things, improving visually how it looks will create more reasons for new businesses to see the benefit of putting their business there in downtown, and for visitors to come and visit.
Absolutely.
And citizens to hang out too.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great thing. Hey, you're listening to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter, talking with Lindsey Bruce and Kellie Fitzpatrick about a Baxter City revitalization program. We got to take a break. Stay with us.
And now back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Thanks, Phil. Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. Hope you're having a great weekend. Our show this week's all about a great new project coming to Baxter City, revitalization program down there. And my guests this morning are Lindsey Bruce. She's a local realtor, local Baxter girl, owns Baxter Flowers down in Baxter. And Kellie Fitzpatrick. She's also a local Baxter girl, and she owns the Monarch in Baxter. Great event location there. If you hadn't been, you need to check it out. Lots of weddings and different things happening there. They're working on a project to try to revitalize Baxter City, the little small downtown area there, to make it inviting and for folks to want to come there and have a business and enjoy the small town feel. And Kellie, you mentioned in the first segment, everything's kind of moved out towards the interstate with Baxter. I mean, it's growing like crazy out in that area, but it kind of left downtown not much happening until you started the Monarch. And Lindsey, you came in and bought the flower shop, and y'all got your business down there. But now this project is part of what we call Tennessee Downtowns or Main Street project that y'all are looking at doing. Kind of tell us a little bit about that and how that works.
Yeah, so with the guidance, like I said, after meeting with Melinda Kiefer and kind of how she got Cityscape started in Cookeville, we definitely wanted to model a similar approach for downtown Baxter specifically. And we think all the growth in Baxter is great. There has been a lot of focus near the interstate, and that makes a lot of sense, for some of these more national things that are coming in and national change. But we wanted to kind of get a group together that was specifically focused on the downtown area. So her suggestion was to start with Tennessee Downtowns, which is a facade grant that you can get. It's kind of first step in a long-term plan of getting Main Street status, which would be our ultimate goal for Baxter. So we did that. We got our committee together. We applied for that grant and just found out that we were selected just a few weeks ago. And we will start the process. Really, we have our first kickoff meeting next week. So it's about a 2-year education project that we'll be involved in. So lots of meetings in Nashville and just learning more about exactly what we need to do, what steps we need to take and their recommendations, how best we can spend this grant money to make the greatest impact. So we'll do a lot of education in the beginning, and then it does obviously include some grant money that we will get to use to revitalize and make the downtown area great.
And that facade grant, I mean, Cityscape did it with a lot of the businesses and allows them to put a new canopy or facade on the front of their buildings to update it. And you've got some, and I'm not saying old buildings in a bad way, but you've got some old historic buildings there in Baxter that if you could do some renovations, it'd be amazing what could happen with that. So this is going to open y'all up to be able to file for all these new grants, right? And so let's talk about some of the actual projects that you're thinking about down in Baxter. I've had some folks ask about, I guess Baxter City is looking at a strip of Broad Street, making it one way. And I know there's a ton of misinformation about that, about what's going to happen. Can y'all talk about that and what you're looking at?
Sure. I think this actually started down on the corner, First and Broad. We have a new restaurant opening, and that building is absolutely beautiful. We're so excited for them to open up and for Baxter residents to have a nice new place to have dinner and lunch. But there's just not enough parking there for them. And that street right now is two-way. And on the one side, they have parallel parking and then angle parking on the other side. And so the proposal was to make that a one-way street, which would allow angle parking on both sides. So it's going to create a lot more parking spaces, which is desperately needed. In our Tennessee Downtowns vision board, we actually also included a parking lot there's a grassy area between Broad Street and Main Street, which I think it would be a great addition for our area. And then down by the depot, there's also a small parking lot. So by making that a one-way street and making more parking on the street, and then at some point down the line, adding those additional parking areas between, I think, is vital. Because, again, we want to make shopping and visiting that area more convenient. So if you're coming into the downtown area and you can't find a parking space, or the parking is really confusing, that can sometimes deter people from making a stop, and we certainly don't want that. So our goal, I think the city's goal in proposing the one-way street was to just make it easier for everyone to get around and to create more parking, which is definitely needed.
Yeah, and so is it going to be one way the whole length of Broad or just a certain section of Broad Street? Do you know?
I think it's going to be 1st Street to 4th Street, right?
Just that section there.
Yeah, just right. Yes.
And that's really crowded in there. I know when we have the Christmas parade every year, there's not a lot of room going through there.
There's not. And we did a little bit of math beforehand. Width of the street, and there are some areas where we have some drainage ditches that are making the road more narrow than what is recommended. So there are some areas that are questionable as far as, are we actually following the recommendations for a two-way street? Do we even have enough room for that? Of course, if you are from Baxter and live in Baxter, you get to that corner, you got to watch out. There could be somebody coming around the corner there, and they're probably from Baxter too, and they probably know there could be somebody sitting there.
They're going to be watching. Yeah.
But with visitors, we want to make sure, and then new residents as well who aren't from here and just coming to the area. We want to make sure it's easy to get around.
Absolutely.
And easy for patrons to get into the buildings they want to visit.
To me, Baxter seems ripe for this. Mm-hmm. You got the new restaurant that's in progress. You got new owners at the Whistle Stop.
Yes.
You've got you guys, both of you, with your businesses, and it just seems like Baxter's just ripe, like Cookeville was back in the 90s for something to happen.
Harold Brown is renovating 2 spaces. To coffee shop is going to be moving downtown. The Freedom House Coffee Shop is moving down there, and I believe his intent was to hopefully make some additional spaces available too. So definitely lots happening, and I think it's all moving in the right direction. I
think so too. And Baxter City's on board with you on doing all this. Yes. I know Mayor Martin loves both of y'all, and I've heard him talk many times. He's a very good mayor to want to see Baxter grow.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the things Melinda mentioned to us when we first started chatting was that with your city officials, their job really is to manage more of that growth that's happening outside the city limits. Right. So they're doing their job, and we understand that if we want to see these improvements in the downtown area, that really it kind of is something that maybe we can kind of take control of and make that happen, expedite that process while our city officials are working on the growth outside.
You've got to have area. The folks that own property, own businesses there have to be behind it and want to step up and do it. And you two are perfect. You're workaholics, both of you are, and I think you'll be perfect. And you got a committee that you've set up that's going to help you do this?
We do, yes. And like I said, we are also focused on, historic preservation too. So we've got lots of variety on our committee. Ben Rogers has been helping us, who's also a wealth of knowledge on all things. Wes Shanks from the high school, so we've got a lot of support from the schools.
Baxter boys, yeah.
Yep, help me here. We've
Kathleen
got
Gilpatrick.
She's at Tech. She's been helping us a lot as far as knowledge with the arts and things like that. And Jeannie Lee, also.
Jeannie.
Yep, she's definitely helping us on the historic side of things. If it happened in Baxter, I'm sure she knew about it.
And has it in her memory.
Exactly.
Amy
Allen is an American Farmhouse, so she also owns a business there in Baxter, and so she's been great and is excited for all the growth and everything happening there. Kevin Maxwell.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think once we have this kickoff meeting and kind of get our feet wet, I know that we definitely want to involve all of those business owners on Broad Street and have them be a part of this too, because I think the excitement that we can create around it for our businesses is really just going to have a butterfly effect. And
I think it's going to be great. And when you named off all those people, you've got some great folks that's going to be on that committee. Jeannie Lee has been unbelievable for Baxter. We did the park over there, and then Blue Cross came in and did the playground, and it's been amazing. And she loves Baxter. She is all Baxter, and I think you ladies are going to fall in her footsteps. And I just think this is going to be a great thing. I really do. Like I said, I was worried about Baxter's many years ago, but I think it's going to turn into something great. And I appreciate what y'all are doing. I support you any way we can. The county will help you any way we can. We want to see Baxter grow, and I think it's going to be a great project. So reach out if we can help you, and look forward to hearing good news as we go forth. And I'll have you back on the show and give us an update as we go forward.
Absolutely. We would love to.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you being on the show today. Hey, we got to take a break. You're listening to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. Next segment, Heart of the Cumberland. Stay with us.
And now back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Thanks, Philip, and welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I hope you're having a great weekend. Our third segment of the show today is about one of my favorite nonprofits here in Putnam County. It's called Heart of the Cumberland. My guests this morning are Michaela Ramsey. She's the Best Groups Program Manager, and Kim Mendoza. She's the Community Groups Program Manager. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
For some folks out there that may not know what Heart of the Cumberland does, Kim, can you give us kind of a quick summary of that?
Yes, I sure can. So Heart of the Cumberland is a volunteer-led peer support group ministry. We're a staff of 5. It's a nonprofit, but we do big things for the community. We have peer support groups for all ages. There's basically 2 arms to the ministry. The community side of things, we serve all ages, and the grief support groups are for grief due to the death of a loved one.
Yeah.
So we are welcoming people that are just needing an extra hand to move forward through grief. And really, that's everybody. We wish that anybody and everybody that parents, when that time comes and they lose their loved ones, they come to us because it's the relationships that form in our groups last a lifetime. And it is so important to find your way forward. And until you experience it, it's hard to put into words how you feel.
That's what I've always said. I don't know. I can't tell you how to feel if I haven't experienced it myself.
Exactly.
Your groups are people that have all experienced this, and
Yes.
they're working through it together. It's kind of like calling an electrician out to your house to fix your electrical problem. If he didn't have any experience in electrical, you really don't want him doing that.
Yes, and we have grown our groups to where we now can offer focus groups. So if you're a bereaved mom, for example, you are sitting around the table with bereaved moms. Same with men's group. There's a strong men's group. So any type of loss, you would, if you're a guy and you want to experience what it's like to express your feelings in a group, you can do that. Same with widows, pregnancy and infant loss groups. A caregivers group is something we have a little bit outside our lane, but that's a virtual group that we do once a week. So we can offer for, if you're a caregiver, you can come and find other caregivers. But that's the community side of things. And then our best groups are led by Michaela Ramsey, and she's going to talk about that in our exciting new camp that we have to offer.
Yeah, Michaela, you've got something called Discovering Hope Camp.
Yes. So this year, Heart of the Cumberland is putting on a day grief camp for kids grades 2nd up to 8th grade who have specifically experienced the death of someone that they love, a significant person in their life. But it's held on Saturday, June 8th from 9 in the morning until 6 p.m. Everything that we're doing this day, camp is completely free of charge for the kids to come and spend the day at camp. But it's just a day set aside for kids to come together, connect, share their stories, talk about their loved one, learn that they're not alone, and just have fun. You know, even as adults, sometimes we forget during grief that we're allowed to have fun.
Yeah.
And so this is a reminder for the kids that they can also have fun during their grief, and that all of the emotions that they're experiencing they're normal.
Right.
And that's okay. But we'll have great food. We're going to be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, playing games. We'll be doing disc golf this year, water games, group chats. We also have a water slide per the request of the kids last year. But it's our 3rd year offering camp, and honestly, our goal for Discovering Hope Camp. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to name the camp, but it's really just a safe place where any child that comes to camp feeling hopeless, that when they leave, they will leave feeling hopeful about their journey forward.
And so if there's parents, grandparents, family listening that would like for their child to be a part of this, how did they go about doing that?
So it's really simple. All they have to do is go to our website, heartofthecumberland.org, or they can call our office at 931-525-2600.
And this is coming up on Saturday, June the 8th.
Yes.
All day, 9 to 6. I was thinking when we were talking earlier about you being on the show, we see so much now with loss when it comes to kids and drug overdoses with their parents and their loved ones, and mom or dad's in jail or prison, and grandparents are raising them, and you see so many of these kids that are having such a tough time to be able to have a day or to be a part of a group, that to be with other kids that are going through maybe not the exact same thing, but similar things. That's a great thing y'all are doing. I mean, it's just sad to think that all these things are happening, but they're part of life anymore. And you're seeing it. You're not just seeing it with the kids, though. I mean, you're seeing it from all age groups. And
grief has no boundaries. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic backgrounds, age, experiences. It all needs to be felt. Love is expensive. Grief is the cost of loving, and it doesn't matter what age you are.
Well, and we all handle grief different, but grief unchecked or untreated turns into things much worse. I mean, you probably see that all the time with folks.
Yeah, and so So camp is specific for loss due to death, but now in our Best Groups program, that's where we are able to work with the kids that are going through their parents are divorcing, foster care, parents that are incarcerated, deployment, deportation, and here in Putnam County, living with a different caregiver. We've got more and more living with great-grandparents right now. And in Best Groups, we are in the schools for 11 weeks. And of course, in the schools, we do remain faith neutral. We're just there to help the kids. But we are in the schools for 11 weeks working through a curriculum from grades 2nd to 8th, and just working with these kids, teaching them about their emotions, how to express them in healthy ways. Really, with our younger ones, just giving them the vocabulary to express those emotions. Right. But yes, I had a group in middle school a few semesters ago that every one of them were in Best Groups because they had a parent that was incarcerated. And
that's so sad in the with all the drugs and the fentanyl and all the things that are coming in, the opioids. And it's not just here in Putnam County; it's everywhere. It's all across the country, and y'all do such a great job of helping these folks. How long has Heart of the Cumberland been in existence now, Kim?
15 years.
Wow.
Yes.
I did not think
we
about
celebrated 15 years this year. 2009.
That is great. Y'all did a great job. So while I got you, though, I know you're always in need. Folks that would like to volunteer to be a part of your program?
Absolutely. We have a great training that we can train anyone that's interested to be a facilitator with us, and we would love to do that. We will have an upcoming training this fall. They can contact me or Michaela. We work very closely together with our volunteers. We just had a volunteer appreciation. We have the best volunteers. I am biased, but it is a commitment, but one that is really, I feel blessed every time I get to do a group. I learn something every time I sit around a table.
And if they want to volunteer, or if they'd like to donate, you're a nonprofit, you have to operate off of donations. How would they go about doing that?
Sure, you can get on our website. We have a donate button right there, make it real easy. But come by. We would highly recommend, if anybody wanted to know more about us, we are very accessible. You can come by. Our office is at 25 West Broad Street, right on the west side. Yeah. And we'd love to share our stories and our vision with anyone who is interested at all.
One final time, Michaela, Discovering Hope Camp is
June 8th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., free of charge for 2nd through 8th graders who have lost someone that they love due to death.
Absolutely. If you're interested, Heart of the Cumberland, they've got a website. You can get your child or family member or friend, whoever it is, enrolled. It'll be a great day camp where these kids can learn to deal with their grief. Ladies, thank you so much for what y'all do for our community. You do a great job, and thanks for being on this morning, and I wish you the best in your camp.
Thank you.
Hey, that's our show for this week. One event we've got coming up, our second annual Pop Power Touch-a-Truck event's coming up June 15th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's on a Saturday before Father's Day. It's at the Putnam County Fairgrounds. Great day for the kids to come out. They want to play on big, heavy construction equipment and trucks and emergency vehicles and all that kind of stuff. It's free of charge. It's at the Putnam County Fairgrounds on June the 15th, 10 to 1. Hey, that's our show for this week. Hope you join us every week for Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor, hoping you have a great rest of your weekend, and may God continue to bless Putnam County.
You've been listening to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.